All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I want to thank Financial Brand. My name is Christina Baker. I am the digital strategy lead at SilverTech, and today we're going to be going through the four-letter word that financial marketers need to use in 2023. I'm really excited to have you on. We're going to be talking about some great stuff. Just to get yourself a little bit familiar with the setup here, feel free to use that chat if you need to ask a technical question, if you're having trouble, or as you think of questions along the way, you can pop them into the Q&A. We'll definitely have some chat time at the end to go through some of that Q&A. We'll also be doing some polls. We're going to have some really great stuff today to get through. So I don't want to wait. Let's get started. All right, as I said, my name is Christina Baker. I'm the digital strategy team lead here at SilverTech. With me today is Derek Barca. He's our CTO. He's going to be advising us and jumping in with any of that technical expertise if you guys have some of those more specific questions on the technical side. We're also joined by Mark Fleischer, a channel growth director at Kentico. Kentico is an awesome partner. He's fantastic platform that we work with. And I think you're going to see there's some really great stuff that you're able to do with the platform to achieve some of these goals and what we're looking to collect today. SilverTech, we are a digital experience agency. We work with our clients to bring them different innovative platforms and experiences for their customers that are really going to deliver and drive value throughout all their organizations to help them attain goals and really position their brands as leaders in industry. We work with our clients on strategy, design, user experience, digital marketing. We really run the gamut. So it's going to be great today to see how all these different elements can come together in your strategy and what that really looks like and is meaningful for you. And I'm going to turn over to Mark so he can go ahead and introduce Kentico.
Everybody, as Christina said, my name is Mark Fleischer. I'm the channel growth director here at Kentico. Kentico is an all-in-one digital experience platform that's been on the market since 2004. It really does combine, content management, digital marketing, commerce, all into an easy-to-use platform. The beauty of it is it's very flexible, and it can also be deployed in a number of different ways, not just being kind of solidified on the cloud, but also on-prem, and it's very easy to use.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, so let's get started. What is that four-letter word? And it's not the one that you tell your kids not to say. No, that four-letter word we're talking about today is data. And that is really, it's not the newest term. You've been hearing about this for years, data. Why are we still talking about leveraging data in 2023? And the answer is a lot of financial institutions, banks, credit unions, they're struggling with how do we do this? What do we collect? Why are we collecting it? Why is it still important? But at the end of the day, your bank or credit union's website really is your busiest branch. And there's so many different data points that we can take from our customers to really gain that insight on a next level. And I think that because, we've been talking about it for years, but a lot of financial institutions are really stuck on how to get started. Which data is it that we're looking to use? How are we going to measure that impact? With the change in privacy laws and security, how do we store that data appropriately? Are we in compliance? These are a lot of the questions that we field every day from our financial clients who are really looking to get started on this journey with data, but are not quite sure where to go. So with that, let's take a quick little poll. Where are you at in your data story? I'm going to go ahead and start this poll because I really want to understand the group today. So you should see that pop up. And you can see, do you feel like you're using data strategically today to deliver for your bank or credit union a competitive edge? And I'm going to give a second for everyone to vote, and then we'll take a look at the results together. You guys are awesome participants. I love this. We're getting so much good data already just in the first 3 minutes. This is great stuff. Give it just another second to come through. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. And I can share those results for you. So do we feel like we are getting a competitive edge out of our data? And it's really interesting to see this split. It looks like 63% of you are a little bit unsure. Maybe, no, we're not quite doing it right. Whereas 37% are saying, yes, we're working on it. Maybe, you're really nailing it, or maybe you just started on that path. But I love the confidence, and I hope that out of today, you'll get some new ideas for additional data points to collect or new ways to storytell out of that data. So I'm going to stop sharing those results now. We're going to move forward. So let's talk a little bit about why are we still talking about leveraging data in 2023. So as I said, we look at the landscape digitally. 90% of our online businesses are investing in data-driven personalization. But we see within financial institutions that 70% of them really lack the resources to be able to process that data and analyze it effectively. So why are we still talking about this? Because ultimately using data points effectively is going to lead your business to have better business decisions and promote future growth. We're looking to improve member experiences, increase product penetration, optimize those marketing campaigns, increase our operational efficiency, and reduce costs. So there's a real front of house, back of house sort of story when it comes to data. And that sort of client facing approach, we're looking at driving personalization, understanding our customers better, being able to cross sell to them better, being able to anticipate their needs better. And then on the back of the house, we're really looking at operational efficiency, innovation, product development, all those kinds of things. But ultimately, deciphering data is difficult. And really, we collect the points, but we need to understand what are these numbers trying to say, and how can I take action on that story? So again, competing in this data-driven world, today's key takeaways, what I want you to leave here today understanding or having more clarity around is why we need to collect data, why that's important, what types of data points we're looking to collect, and how we can use that data in our efforts to be able to make sure that we're really hitting the mark and moving the needle, creating that ROI that we're looking for. So let's talk a little bit about why you need data. Banks and credit unions have some of the most valuable data available. Each and every day, financial institutions are collecting data points from their customers and members and pointing at, identifying things like customer behavior, preferences, overall customer patterns. If you really think about how many interactions and touch points your customers have with you, it's really amazing to think about the amount of data you could possibly be collecting and using for good to deliver those experiences that are really going to resonate with your customers. There's really no better source of insight than the real actions of your customers. And I really think that, along this line, without proper data collection, we're somewhat operating in a vacuum. We're making goals and we're planning kind of based on best guesses, hunches. And I have no doubt that all the marketers in this room right now have good instincts, but backing up those decisions with data to tell those stories can really revitalize your strategy, optimize your ROI on your marketing efforts, and make it easier for you to obtain budget for your most innovative initiatives. So it's important that we have good instincts. It's important that we understand our customers on a personal level, but we also need to have that data to back up our stories to really drive home the value. Ultimately, in a lot of ways, you have the data you need. It's coming in as we speak. It's already coming in. Your customers are interacting. We already know a lot of things about our customer behavior and preferences, their preferred platforms, let's say, product interest and pain points, overall customer patterns. All of that exists. The question is, are we collecting it and are we turning it into those actionable insights? So we want to talk about making those informed judgments on things that we can then improve customer care, fraud prevention, have better customer targeting, understand our top channel performance, and have that great risk exposure assessment. Gaining insights really eliminates that guesswork, and integrating data management will strengthen your people, processes, and technology. So again, data is the center of that more personalized experience and delivering on the one-to-one level that I know we're all working towards. So with that said, let's take another poll because I'm really curious to hear all of your thoughts around this question. And that question is, what is your biggest challenge? When we look at leveraging data, what is it that is your biggest challenge? Maybe you don't have the tools or resources. Maybe it's too much responsibility with the privacy laws. You don't know essentially what to do with the data that you have. Or maybe it's really around those data points. What do we need to collect? Why is that important? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that one. And I'm seeing the responses come in. Again, thanks so much for participating. This is really great stuff. I'm going to give it a second, and then we'll take a look at those results. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share in just a minute here. I still see some people are working. I love how thoughtful everyone is. There's a lot of options here. And I think probably likely it might be a combination of these things, right? It might be one or two things. It might be that, we're nervous about the privacy laws, but also we have a bunch of data that we're not currently using. That's okay too. It's a big topic. It takes a lot of strategy to back this up, but I'm hoping that by the end of today, you'll see it's very achievable for you, and that we can help you as well work together to understand what the strategy behind the data collection to achieve those goals that you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share the results. We can all take a look together. All right, so let's take a look here. Not having the tools to properly track the data, that looks like our number one answer, and that's a really great one. And I think that that's going to be so great when we get to the demo part of this webinar. When Mark starts to show off, I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things there around having a tool that can really help you achieve this. Taking a look at that, not knowing what to do with the data we have, and we don't know what data to focus on. Kind of like two sides of the same coin, right? We have all this data and maybe it feels a little overwhelming and we're not really sure like what part of that data is the important part, right? So I think we'll kind of, as we talk through today, we'll see what are those important things to collect, and then we'll work through an example of, let's follow a customer in their journey so we can identify what those important pieces of data are. And I would say, my thought is a lot of the data that we're collecting is always important. It's not to say that, one data point is more important than the other. They're all really puzzle pieces in putting together the story of our customer's journey. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing those results, and we're going to move on to the next. So let's kind of talk through a little bit here about why aren't banks or credit unions using more data to improve their customer experiences. And you can see a lot of those concerns that you all had, those pain points, they're all right here. It's like compiling and organizing data often takes tools and IT resources that you may not have. We always know, or we know all of our IT teams are usually very busy, strapped. So we might have, maybe there's a lack of CRM or there's data silos that we're trying to work through. But I know that it can be very difficult to make sure we have the resourcing to get that done. Additionally, it's hard to track, the death of third-party cookies, constantly changing security policies. These are things that really can work against us in our data collection efforts. So we always have to kind of keep an eye on where that is moving, so that we can be sure that we're in compliance and ahead of those privacy laws. For instance, we work with a lot of healthcare organizations, and a lot of them are actually removing tracking from their sites because they can't rely on those third parties to not use data inappropriately. Additionally, looking at that responsibility, we want to make sure, again, that we're in compliance, that data is being securely stored and not vulnerable to threats. That's something that's really, really important. But I think you'll see is very achievable for everyone that's in this room today. And then finally, add that insight piece to it, right? Once we have the data, how do we decipher it? How do we pull out the story the data is trying to tell us? That one can be really tricky too. And I think you'll see by the end of this, there's some easy ways that we can start to tease that thread. So what data points should we be paying attention to? Great question. Really what we're looking at is we want the data points that we're going to be talking about today really require little to no IT skills or resource. We want this to be really achievable for you. Brands are using data and modern tech to benefit their relationship. They're going to win. Those brands that are really using that data effectively, regardless of age, are going to win in creating those relationships, because it's not just about the data we collect digitally, but it's our in-branch efforts. It's from our customer service teams and call recording. All those myriad of data points come together to tell that story of that customer. So even if we have a lower digitally engaged customer, we're still going to be able to collect data on them in other ways that we can then use in our digital efforts to apply to any type of customer profile, or to create customer profiles that are more specific. The world is collecting data on all of us. So how can we make sense of it? And how can we deliver those experiences that are better for our customers? That's the real question. So let's talk a little bit about those data points to collect. When you think about every interaction that our customers have with us, think of things like online payments, our inbound, outbound, that calling center, branch interactions. There's possibility there for as well. Even in person, we can still collect a lot of those points. It's important that we utilize what we have and then turn those into actionable insights. So I don't want you to look at this list and think, oh my gosh, how in the world am I going to collect all of these data points? You don't need to collect them all. You really can collect a few key pieces that you already have, that you're likely already in your systems, and really just break down those silos to start pulling out those insights. So I don't want you to look at this and think, oh my gosh, this is going to require so much work. We don't need to think that way. We can start with what we have and build upon it. And you'll see further on in the presentation where we're going to talk about our approach to personalization and how it's very achievable for your organization. How do we use that data? So once we start collecting it, we've got our processes in place. How are we going to use it? We're going to use that data to create really targeted campaigns. Now that we understand our segments better, or even our sort of niche micro groups better, we can really create those specifically targeted campaigns that are going to move the needle on those customers, creating more conversions and expanding our sales. We'll understand our customer behavior on a grander level. So even if we're not sort of creating that really individualized experience, we'll understand that sort of shift in trends on a grander level. That will allow us to personalize recommendations and services and start to track patterns within our groups. From there, we can then segment customers based on their profiles and respond to their feedback in a much more efficient way. Finally, we'll be able to use that data to really think about our growth plans and plan our future efforts. As we collect data from our customers and then go ahead and move those targeted campaigns, we're collecting the data on the campaigns, what worked, what didn't. Did we pull out the correct story? Did we maybe miss the mark? Those are the types of things that when we start to analyze, really inform our future efforts, because once we have a campaign that has been personalized and executed successfully, we're really looking at scaling after that. Is there a way we can become more targeted? Is there a group within the group that we don't recognize? There's a lot there that we can then grow and scale to make sure that everything we're doing is building up and being in line with all of our goals. Big banks are already moving to deliver these personalized experiences. 78% of major banks are moving forward with data-driven personalization. What we see is that a study by Personetics evaluated 40 banks in USA and Canada by asset size and found that 28% are in production with data-driven personalization solutions. Another 28% are in the implementation stage, and we see the rest are looking at evaluating solutions. So we're really looking at, everyone is kind of moving this direction. It's just about where you are in your journey. So I hope that no one in this room feels left behind, because I think what this is really telling us is that we're all here together to learn about where we can do this, how we can start to implement it, and really set off on that journey. And so that we can keep up and really start to deliver with what the expectations of our customers are. We see that personalization drives performance and better customer outcomes. We can see that most 71% of our consumers are expecting personalization, right? I kind of think of this as like the Pandora effect. If you're old like I am, if you're an elder millennial, you'll remember when Pandora was launched. That's that streaming music service, predecessor to Spotify. And what was so revolutionary about it was that it had an algorithm that when you told them the song you liked, it would then provide you with songs and recommendations based on that song that you liked. And if you've ever used Pandora, you know that that algorithm is pretty good. It's going to tell you some songs and you're going to learn some new things. So it kind of like was one of the earlier sort of personalized services. Now we see personalization everywhere. So many brands are using it. We even are getting access to the data that they're collecting on us, and we get to see it. Think about your Spotify year wrapped and taking a look at how many songs you listen to, how many hours, whatever it is. There's so many different data points, and that's really setting the stage, because ultimately our customers have that expectation that there's going to be personalization at some level within everything that they do now. So really looking at that growth of the financial industry and how we can bring that personalization into this industry is going to drive some great outcomes for our customers. Taking a look at data analytics, we also want to talk about it from a security standpoint. We want to talk through, how we can protect this information and make sure that we're well within compliance and our risk management processes, so that we can make sure that our data is protected and our customers are protected. At the end of the day, we're dealing with a very personal issue. We're dealing with the money of our customers. We want to make sure that they feel that they can trust us and that their money is safe with us. Strong data privacy practices protect your financial institution and its customers, ensuring a positive customer experience and maintaining regulatory compliance. It also fosters a culture of trust and accountability with your members. This is really going to be, driving home that customer loyalty. If your customers feel that they are safe with you, the brand loyalty that you gain from that is going to be incredibly impactful. So when we talk about creating a personalized customer experience, as we mentioned before, no longer an option. We're all moving in that direction. What is the real life implications of that? What are the numbers that come out of that? What we see is that companies that effectively enact personalization see a 15% increase in sales conversion and a 20% increase in customer satisfaction. We drive that brand loyalty home because their customers feel like we understand them. We know where they're at. We know what they're looking for. We understand their needs. And ultimately, they're going to feel that loyalty because they're going to feel understood. Data also shows that they will be more willing to share feedback because of that established trust. Really, we're strengthening the relationships with our customers by showing them and demonstrating to them that we are using their data in a respectful way to help them achieve their goals, to help them find products that suit them well, but we're also protecting it and making sure that they're secure. How are other brands doing this? We talked a little bit about some of the other brands. Spotify is always a big one, Netflix, Amazon, even Facebook. Customer expectations are rising. We have Amazon suggestive selling, and even now more post-pandemic, where folks that were not previously digitally engaged pre-COVID are now buying on Amazon constantly. They saw how easy it was, and they're looking for other online ways to engage, and they're expecting that Amazon level of ease with everyone they engage with digitally. If we're not using that data that they're providing us with to better their experience, they will go elsewhere. They'll go to the competition, and we don't want to lose them. We want to show them how much we value them and their business with us. So although suggestive selling is maybe not something a bank would think of traditionally, I think with the right usage of data, this is totally doable for us in suggesting the products and experiences that our members might want in a crawl, walk, run approach, right? Even for a bank, we can kind of take it easy. Let's sort of settle in. Let's start to collect that data, and let's see how it goes. Oops, sorry about that. Let's go back one there. Oh, let's take another poll. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one. So let's take a poll here, and we're going to go and we're going to so let's talk about personalization. I'm curious, in your rooms, your conference rooms, and within your teams, have you been talking about personalization? Is that a priority for your bank or credit union this year? So I'm going to give a second to let those answers move in. You guys have been awesome participants. I've been loving this data we're getting out of the polls. So let's really see where everyone's at. All right. Give it just another second. Let those responses come in. Is personalization a priority for you this year? All right, I'm going to go ahead and share those results, and let's talk about them. All right, is personalization a priority for your bank or credit union in 2023? We've got 72% of the room saying yes, it absolutely is. Well, that's great. You're in the right spot. Glad you're here today. And those of you who are still sort of struggling, not really sure, I hope that by the end of this, you can see that it's something that you can start to implement Now I hope we kind of demystify any of those roadblocks to implementing personalization, and that you see it's very achievable no matter your size, no matter your tech stack. I think you'll see that there's definitely some things that you can take away from today and start working on. So even if personalization is not in your plan for this year, maybe it is for next year, or maybe once you get started collecting that data and you kind of see the results of that, it might come into your plan very quickly. All right, so let's start with let's go through a little story, right? Let's talk about one of our customers. So we're going to talk about a customer called Student Sandra. Student Sandra is our sort of our audience segment, our persona that's going to be around that new grad who is really looking at, opening an account online, wants to engage with us digitally, highly digitally engaged customer here. So here you can see, she's going to maybe visit our website. We have our Silver Tech Bank, not a real bank, but that's okay. So we've got our Silver Tech Bank here. She's going to come hit our website, maybe after a Google search, maybe she sees a campaign ad. She wants to educate herself. So she's going to be poking around a little bit. For this data example, we're going to be focusing on our CMS. She maybe applies to open an account online. We know that she's going to be on her phone a lot. We know that she will look to Silver Tech Bank to, educate herself. This particular audience segment has a low financial education. So she's really in that, education phase. She's wanting to learn to manage her finances straight out of college. She's on her own for the first time. So she's going to really use the website as a source of financial education. So we have the opportunity here to really build a strong relationship with her and capture her loyalty, so that as she continues to move through her life stages, she will see us as a trusted expert and partner and come back with any of her needs for products. Maybe she wants to buy a new car or a mortgage, take out a mortgage. We want to make sure that she knows that she can trust us. So as she navigates on that site, where are we collecting those data points? What can we do in that journey? Where are those spots? We'll be collecting things like, we'll know her demographic information. We'll understand her attitude towards banks and credit unions, maybe based on how she searched or where she navigated. Her behavioral pattern, we can start to see this. Did she click into a page, maybe didn't see what she was looking for, click back out? Maybe she went, maybe she searched the site. Maybe she's the type to take advantage of a website search over, navigating around. Maybe she's very low click. She just wants to search and get to where she's going. We'll be able to see that search term. We'll understand her service preferences. Maybe we'll see her online payments and spending patterns. Maybe we see her click on how to do mobile banking, how to pay a bill online, those kinds of things. Her branch interactions, as she maybe interacts with that locator tool, those are types of data points we can collect as well to help us understand where she's at geographically. If she does want to engage in branch, what is that information that she's looking for? Is she clicking directly on the phone number and then moving along? There's all types of interactions that we see within the website alone that we can start to collect data on to be able to personalize her experience the next time she comes to visit. So how do we get started, right? So this is when we talk about that crawl, walk, run, sprint approach that we work with a lot of clients on. That crawl stage, I think that folks get really excited. They want to implement something, but looking at this, we want to identify those data points. We want to assess the data that we have, access to, and we want to kind of start where we are, right? Start where we are, use what we have. And that's what you're going to see in that crawl stage. It's all about setting that foundation so that we can then build upon that into our next stage when we look at, what can we add now that we've sort of got our foundation going? What do we need to bring in additionally? How can we scale the efforts that are working and then rework the efforts that maybe aren't working quite as well as we thought? So with this, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he's going to show you a demonstration of Kentico and how easy this can be to set up for you. So I'm going to start sharing so that Mark can stop. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just going to show a couple of different things, show some personalization, so building some content out within here, and also kind of talk a little bit more about, tracking and where does this data kind of end up and what you can do with it. So I'm going to start within the kind of content tree of my website. You can see all the different kind of page types and content models that I have here, but just as an illustration, I'm going to build out a quick article very quickly here. To use when it's coming to that point of we're trying to collect some sort of data. So basically this is a WYSIWYG editor. You can clearly see that. And basically I'm just going to fill in some very quick content, nothing too crazy. As we all know, I am a salesperson, so I'm not super creative. So I like to use copy and paste a lot. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and throw in an image in here. I just have to find it. And I'm actually going to go ahead and upload it directly within here. That's the image I'm going to pop in. And then I'm actually going to publish that out to my site. So I'm going to advance myself through this little workflow. We have our nice little article, nothing too crazy here, with a nice image here to the left-hand side and our title. And that's going to be the first piece of content that we're going to build. And then I'm also going to go ahead and build out a little landing page. So I went ahead and I had this custom little template that I decided to build out using some different widgets and some pieces of content. And this is going to be called let's call it the digital banking. Banking is the way of the future landing page. So I have some little content pre-built out in here, a couple of different widgets, some different locations, branch locations, a nice little testimonial, some little, content that is coming from the SilverTex YouTube channel in here. But the thing that we really want to call out is way up here. And that is the ability to track all of the site visitors. Now, because of the way Kentico is architected, is that Kentico as an organization will never have visibility into your own customer data. That's your data. It lives on your servers. It is managed by you. And really what happens is whenever a new site visitor hits the site, they opt into being tracked, and they actually end up within the contact management section here. So this is an onboard customer data platform built into Kentico. So these are all of my site visitors. As you can see, I have a large number of anonymous users. I also have a bunch of known users. And I'm going to show Monica here just because this is a good example about one of the ways this data can get collected is that Monica, we know this data here because these are some forms that she's filled out. I haven't been pulling this from an external system or anything. This is just information that she has provided to the system, to Dancing Goat, this system, my website here, to actually understand, okay, who is she? And then we also have all of the activities. That's really where the biggest part of this kind of data comes into play. These are all of the different clicks that Monica has made back in 2020, even starting from when she was originally an anonymous user. Now we know who she is because she's done some sort of action. These are some of the conversions that I have within my system, but definitely can be customized to, your specific use cases. And now I can truly try to understand what the customer journey is for this particular user. And then now that we have this data, we understand the customer journey a little bit better. Now we can start to do that next stage, that segmentation aspect. So there's two major ways to do personalization with Kentico. Both are incredibly easy. One is a persona and the other is a contact. I'm going to work with contact groups just for time's sake, because I know that there's a lot of stuff that we want to get through today. And I'm actually going to go ahead and build this out. So this is going to be the new contact group that I'm going to be, kind of building out. It's going to be called the banking group. This is a group focused on banking. And I apologize if I start to misspell things. And now I'm going to make this conditional. So I'm going to go in and build out a nice little macro rule. This is a whole rules engine that can be customized to each individual use case. SilverTex has a ton of experience in working this with all of their customers. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with a rule based on a search. So I'm going to just go ahead and find that rule. I'm going to specify that keyword. That keyword's going to be mobile banking. And I'm also going to say that this needs to be entered in the last 10 days. So once that happens, now I have this new little rule. I'm also going to add another one, and I'm going to look at a page. And I'm going to say that they're going to be coming to a page within the last few days. And I'm actually going to go ahead and select that page specifically. Oh, this isn't going to work now. There we go. And this is going to load up my URLs. I'm going to go in and grab that article that we just built out. And now anybody who has either searched for the word mobile banking or has actually visited that little article we just built in the last 10 days is now going to be a part of this group. So I can go ahead and save and close. And now I can save. So now we have this nice little group. Now we're going to start to do some personalization directly on the front end of the site. And I'm actually going to go back to that landing page you just built out and show you how easy this actually is. So the little landing page is right here. And the page has actually been built out using a wide variety of different widgets. And each of these widgets can be customized. You know, I can change some of the text here. I can change some of the images. But really when it comes to personalization is I can just click this little person right here. I'm going to say if they're in a contact group, and we're going to say that they're in the banking group. And now I can actually go ahead and change out this entire banner image. So say maybe I want to change it out to something a little bit different. I'll change it to this coffee just for fun. And then and say welcome to the Dancing Goat Bank. Maybe I want to say welcome back to the Dancing Goat Bank. Let me make that look a little bit better. I can even change out these cafe locations. And again, just throwing it in here, grabbing the banking group, and swapping out Boston Bruce for something else. Maybe I want to change this to, say, the Sit a While. Very easy to work with, very easy to use. And the same thing even goes if I wanted to change out this video itself. So, you know, how to create personas. Maybe this particular person already knows how to do that. So we want to make sure that they are going to see some different pieces of content. And what I can do is I can actually remove this, go ahead in here, insert a video, and then I can go ahead and grab my other video here that I have on my second screen, paste that in there. And now we actually have a completely different video that's a little bit more relevant to this particular group of people. And then I can go ahead and save it. I can take that a little bit further as well if I wanted to. I have a couple of call to actions here. So maybe formula article or an ebook download. Maybe I instead want to say that, nope, if they're in the contact group, again, we can change around this entire landing page based on that particular group of people. So instead, we're going to say that they're going to get taken to some coffees. And I have the option to say if it's in a new tab or not. And then now that I have that personalization kind of enabled, now I can work with the web analytics that's built into the platform. I can work with call to actions. I can work with UTMs through a campaign manager, and I can work through reporting to see how my personalization is actually performing, and then extend that beyond just this singular page. Because I can implement personalization site-wide if I wanted to, based on, you know, again, personas, based on contact groups, based on, you know, very, very basic kind of, you know, actions that are being performed on that site to extend that personalized experience for each and every one of my site visitors and each and every one of my different groups. Hopefully that all made sense. I'll turn it back over to Christina.
Hey, thanks so much, Mark. I love that demo of the Kentico platform and all that's available in it. And I've often wanted to try Dancing Go Coffee. It always kills me that it's not an actual place. But I do love it, and I appreciate you showing that. That's so great. There's so
Absolutely.
much power within the platform. It's just really incredible, all the things and the endless possibilities that it offers.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, and we're going to talk through just a little bit more. All right, so let's talk through progressing with personalization. So as Mark just showed, there's so many great things that you can do with the platform to start on your journey with personalization, but you're not stopping there. Once you really get in that habit and you start thinking about all the options of personalization, all the groups you can personalize for, really the sky's the limit. And there's so much power in the platform and all the additional data points that you can bring in that we really talk about progressing. Now that you've personalized some content areas for a couple of segments, how do we scale that and grow it? So really we look at different things at this point, like applications that are incomplete. We maybe look at customers with very few transactions. We can bring in much more granular types of data to get more specific in our personalization efforts. Additionally, eventually we can bring in that third-party data, things like credit score, income levels, to make sure that we're creating that fully fleshed out profile of our customers. And then from there, we also can look at integrating tools, other platforms that are maybe already in your tech stack that we can use data points from, things like HubSpot, CallRail, your Google ads, looking at Klaviyo, really understanding all of these different platforms and how they can come together with Kentico to drive that personalization. We can also help you understand what tools to invest in, what tools can you consolidate. And we don't necessarily need to have a strong IT lift here. A lot of this is very user-centric, intuitive to use. This is something that's very manageable. So let's talk through some questions. So with that, we're going to go ahead and talk through some of the questions. So I hope that you put your questions in the Q&A. We really have a lot of time now. We can kind of go through some. I'd love to hear your questions. So please go ahead, put those in the Q&A, and let's see what we can get to.
Thank you, Christina. That was a fantastic presentation. I do have a couple questions that have come in.
Awesome.
The first question for you is about operating with a small marketing team. If you're operating with a small team, where should you start with data collection and personalization?
Oh, that's such a great question. As someone who was a former marketing department of one, this one really speaks to me. I understand that pain, and I understand how difficult it can be when you are a marketing department of one. Trying to do all of these different things feels very overwhelming, and you just don't know where to start. So my recommendation in that environment would be to look at what you've got already. Don't think about, oh, I need to do all these things. I need to get all these platforms. I need to, I need IT, I need budget, I need blah, blah, blah. Just look at what you have already. What are you collecting today? How can you use that today? Is it Google Analytics? Is it, Google Tag Manager? Maybe those are your only two things that you have that are collecting data today. That's good data. You can use that. You can still drive personalization just through those two tools. And those two tools are free. So I would say, take a look at what you've got, start with what you have, and then also lean on a partner, lean on your agency, reach out to me, ask questions. Let's talk about it more. Don't expect that you know everything. None of us knows everything, right? This is where a really strong partner can come in and really help take that off of your plate so you can focus on other areas of your job or different areas that maybe you just enjoy more, and really leverage that partnership so that way you can feel like you're getting a lot done, you're being very successful, but it's not all falling on your shoulders.
Excellent, thank you. We have another great question here. How do you work around some of the challenges such as privacy and security that you may be faced with when you're leveraging your customer data?
Oh yeah, privacy and security are always top of mind. How do we work around that? The question there is really, I think what we're really looking to do is understanding that risk assessment, understanding where that data is being housed, how it's being protected by us in terms of what we can control, and then also where is that landscape going. We really need to understand, work with our compliance teams and in understanding where is that risk, what risk are we at, and then how do we work around it from a technical standpoint to protect it, to protect that data, and how do we use it very responsibly. Mark, I don't know, do you have some thoughts to share on this one from a technical standpoint?
Definitely one of the beautiful things about the way that, specifically my platform is built out is the idea of the peace of mind that other people don't have access to the data that's being stored within it. You also have a lot of flexibility in terms of where that data can be stored based on specific requirements that your organization may have. And I did notice that Derek went off mute, so I'm more than happy to hand this over to him as well to kind of touch upon and build upon that kind of an answer.
Yeah, I was just going to add, we've obviously worked with lots of IT and risk, departments at many different organizations, banks, hospitals, all the sort that are obviously very risk adverse. And really the big thing for that is you don't want that customer data really leaving the building or the tools that it's in, but that doesn't mean you can't use it. So if you want to look at all the customer data a bank has, and banks have in credit unions have tons of customer data, probably even more so than Amazon. You know where people live, you know what their wealth is, you probably know if they have children, you know what products they already have. You have all this information at your disposal, but again, you don't want to leave the systems as is. But what you can do is look at the data you have and then figure out which segments and personas you want to basically derive from that data. Do that in those same systems, and then you can export those personas. So you know that when Sally Smith comes to online banking to log in, you know she's persona ABC, which means you want to give her this ad. So you can export that data and not have to worry about exposing that sensitive data to the World Wide Web, essentially.
Awesome, thank you very much. And the last question that we got was, will the presentation be available via email? And yes, we will be sending the presentation and a copy of the recording out early next week. So please keep an eye open for that in your inbox.
Erin, we'll also be sending out that pitfalls of personalization, which is a great document as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. I hope that you guys find that really valuable. I think there's a lot in there that can really help you get started and starting to form that strategy of how your personalization is going to look moving forward. All right, and with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to thank Mark and Derek, and I think we had a great demo. I want to thank everyone for your participation. It was so great to see your answers to the polls. If you want to talk about this topic or any other topic that you're looking at for your marketing going forward, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Derek, Mark, any of us. You can find us on LinkedIn. I know our email addresses were up there. So drop us a line, let us know what you think, and if you have any questions, and we'd love to chat more with you.